Let's dive into one of the most baffling mysteries in the natural world. It's a true vanishing act, and believe it or not, it's happening right under our noses. So picture this. It's 2006. It starts as just whispers among beekeepers, but then it quickly turns into a global alarm. Something absolutely wild happened. Millions upon millions of bees just flew away from their homes and never came back. It kicked off this huge mystery. Seriously, where did they all go? And the scene they left behind? It was just eerie. Imagine a bustling city, totally empty overnight. That's what beekeepers were finding. Hives that were completely silent, hollowed out. There were no signs of a struggle, no bodies, not even a hint of predators. Nothing. It's like they literally vanished into thin air. Now, here's the really crazy part. This wasn't some weird one-time thing. This phenomenon now hits over 1 million bee colonies every single year. That's a staggering number, and it points to a massive ongoing crisis. Okay, so to figure out what's really going on, we have to follow the clues, just like in any good mystery. Our investigation starts right now. Well, scientists eventually gave this thing a name, colony collapse disorder, or CCD for short. And here's what makes it so strange. It's not the whole hive that dies off. The worker bees disappear, but they leave everything behind. Their queen, tons of food, even the baby bees. It's a total abandonment that just flies in the face of all natural bee behavior. In the beginning, the investigation cast a really wide net. Scientists were looking at all the usual environmental suspects. Could it be air pollution? Maybe the effects of global warming? What about a lack of water? All of these were on the table, but none of them really felt like the smoking gun. But as more and more evidence started piling up, one prime suspect began to emerge from the lineup. And its connection to the crime, it became alarmingly clear. Now look, it's a complex problem, and lots of factors probably play a role, but there's one that's been shown to have a direct and truly devastating effect on bees, and that's pesticides. And here's how it plays out, and it's just a tragic little journey. It starts with one bee collecting nectar from a plant that's been treated with pesticides. Those chemicals then actually cause brain damage, which messes up the bee's internal GPS. Lost and totally confused, it can't find its way back home and eventually starves. And the tragedy doesn't stop there. Any bees that do make it back carry that poison with them, and they end up contaminating the entire hive. The sheer scale of this is hard to wrap your head around. In just 50 years, pesticide use has helped cut bee populations by nearly half. I mean, think about that. A 50% loss for any species is absolutely catastrophic. So why should we care about this? I mean, beyond the bees themselves. Because their disappearance isn't just some abstract ecological tragedy. It's a direct threat to our food supply. And it starts right in the grocery aisle. Get this, it's believed that as much as 1/3 of all the food we eat depends on pollination by bees. Let that sink in for a second. 1 out of every 3 bites of food you take, you can thank a bee for that in some way. And the difference is it's stark. With bees, our plates are full, they're colorful, they're diverse. But in a world without bees, well, the estimate is that about half of the food we know and love would just vanish from our tables. Gone. And we're not talking about exotic, rare foods here. We're talking about everyday staples: apples, broccoli, cabbage, pumpkins. But it goes even deeper. Even things like dairy and meat are at risk. Why? Because bees pollinate crops like alfalfa, which is what we feed to farm animals. All of this really leads us to a huge realization. Bees aren't just little insects flying around. They're essential partners in our survival, crucial partners that we often completely overlook. They're our silent partners. You see, they're a critical link in this delicate web of life. By pollinating plants, they're not just helping to grow our food, they're holding up the stability of entire ecosystems. If they disappear, it would set off a domino effect across the whole food chain. It really all comes down to this. For creatures so tiny, their impact is absolutely monumental. They truly are a cornerstone species that allows life as we know it to thrive on this planet. So we know that our food supply, our ecosystem, pretty much our whole way of life depends on the survival of these tiny creatures, which leaves us with a really crucial question we all have to ask ourselves. Are we actually doing enough to protect our silent partners?